All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Expat Brat Podcast. It's Salman Qureshi, and I hope you've been having a great month. April's done. Ramadan's over. Eid's done in Dubai, and here we are. We at the end of April, and it's almost May, and I'm going crazy because at this point I start writing off like instead of ticking off stuff I've accomplished, I'm writing off stuff. I'm like, all right, that's not going to happen anymore. That one's not going to happen anymore. Maybe I can exaggerate and say I accomplished that there's something to be said about lying to yourself. And so yeah, I'm in that state right now, people. It's not necessarily a bad state. It makes me kind of go, well, I wrote too many things at the beginning. And now it's time to, push comes to shove. It really hones you in on what is really important for me. What's important for me long term, but also what do I really like doing and stuff. So, that kind of stuff is going on in my head. I hope your year is going better and more planned. But that's life, right? And here we are into almost the second round of the NBA playoffs, man. And guys, now I'm feeling like it's going to be the Lakers and Celtics in the finals. If that happens, it'll be kind of cool because I think the Celtics are a great team. Then the Lakers would be a comeback story of sorts. But also, it might make me think the NBA might be suspiciously like the WWF or WWE as it's known now. Maybe they fix that shit. Maybe it's just a tug on emotions for people, and it's kind of like Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior coming face to face again and again every few years, right? And if you're a diehard fan of both teams have the longest fan base, I would say, just because of the sheer number of championships and history. I think they have that. The Lakers obviously, have this other kind of distinction about them. So if that happens, I'll be very suspicious, but it won't surprise me also. It's a great story. Other than that, I don't know, man. I've been liking it. I feel bad for the Kings and the Warriors because whichever team loses in Game 7 now, I just feel like I wish both of them could have gone through. Interesting. It's been a fun playoffs though. Screw the Bulls and their pathetic team. I don't know. I always have this soft corner for the Chicago Bulls, but they've got too many soft corners in their own team for this to actually ever happen. It'd be interesting to see what happens next season. Let's see whether they go for the big trade-off and dismantle and rebuild, or they're going to give this team of superstars one more shot, I wouldn't call them all superstars, but you know what I mean. There were high expectations. Anyway, this episode, I've been traveling. I realized yesterday I was talking to someone, and I think I've traveled more this year, than I have in the past 5 years, for various reasons. And it's been cool. I've gotten to see a few places. I was talking to an Algerian dude, and he's like, you went to my country? Because I went there back in Jan. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, dude, even I need a visa to get back into my country. It's interesting how very few people. So it kind of felt good to know I went to a place where even white people would suffer, would find it hard to get to, and just a little bit of me felt good about that. But it's not been the only place. I've been to Pakistan a couple of times. I'm going to Turkey next month. And so, this kind of traveling around a little bit, traveling between the cities, Saudi as well, and a few more trips planned for the rest of the year. So it sounds exciting. I might be able to squeeze in Lebanon and Egypt into it as well. So, and possibly the States as well. So a lot of plans. But every time it comes back to traveling, I always get annoyed about the same thing. It's the visa process. It's having to apply for visas. I just having grown up with a Pakistani passport, let me tell you, all right, it's one of the worst passports in the world in terms of travel. All right, so it's got like one of the least number of countries that give you visa on arrival. So it automatically just, it just means I have to go through this process. Now I'm very grateful I live in the UAE, because the UAE has done such a great job of, like, even if you have a resident visa out here, it allows you to travel to a few more countries based on that. So it opens up the world a little bit more, it makes it a little bit more easy for me. And because I've always faced that and seen that, it's very personal to me. It's this idea of freedom of movement of people, of human beings. I mean, this world, no one chooses where you're born and whatever, right? Yeah. And we should be allowed to move through this earth as we like. It's a very simple concept, right? But it's fear and power play which causes people to put down these rules and boundaries and stuff just because they want to hoard and whatever, right? A lot of fear, a lot of selfishness and greed, and it really bugs me, because it's the right to move freely between countries, between places. It's a fundamental human right. Yeah, to pursue your goals and aspirations, to seek safety and protection, to connect with others, right? I mean, this other thing that triggered me today was I was reading about Sudan, and it's going through a lot of hell right now. It's very unfortunate what's going on in there, and I hope the people are not completely crushed. They already are. There's a common people that get stuck between these two power plays. But there was this one story that really got to me, was about how the Western embassies just ran away. Right, they extracted their staff expectedly. Unfortunately, what's happened is they've left all these people who had submitted their passports like hanging in a limbo, because they don't have access. The Sudanese people, nationals, don't have access to their passports. They're stuck in these embassies, and there's no one in there to help them get it out, or where they are. They're lost. They have no idea what's happened to it. And so now, there are families that want to get out, but they can't, because one of the family members, the wife or the husband, their passport is stuck there. Most of these embassies have been what I really found horrific was how they're responding to this. All right. So the Italian embassy was a little better. They said, we're trying to work out a way and we'll figure it out. I think the Netherlands kind of said the same thing. But the worst was Sweden, man. Sweden. All right. No wonder I don't know how the people are happy. If you're Swedish, you should listen to what your government's doing and be a little less happy. All right. Strike that smirk off your face. Know what the world's going through. Be a little more sad, you bastards. So what happened was this guy shared is in the news. He shared his communication with the Swedish person. I gotta find out what her name was. I want to name and shame her. I want to name and shame her. So I'm gonna say, what was it? Let me look this up. She's the head of the immigration there, I suppose. And I don't have to. Oh crap! I kind of wait. I have internet. I got internet here, and I'm gonna look this up. All right. The reason I'm naming and shaming her is because when you read about her reaction and her responses, you will be like, this is just absolutely horrific and just terrible in how she's responded to the whole thing. And unfortunately, I just, like, all I'm looking up online now is how India has overtaken China in terms of population. That's terrible. It's terrible because now there's so many Indians. Okay. All right. That was my inner Pakistani speaking. Sorry about that, guys. I love you. So here we go. It's the Swedish person. So this guy, Mahmoud, he reaches out to Christina Brooks. She's the head of migration at the Swedish embassy in Khartoum, or was. And she says, you can't access your passports. We've evacuated the building. Please. So the guy goes, hey, listen, let me know. How do I get to the embassy to take my passport? I need to be ready to leave the country. Our building is not safe anymore. And she goes, I'm deeply sorry, but that's not possible. That's what she responds with. And he says, she recommends then he uses a photocopy of his passport to exit Sudan All right, and maybe his marriage certificate might help and stuff. And I hope that she said, I hope that you and your family manage to get out and you stay safe. And he sends her back a picture of his faded photocopied passport. He says, I can't leave with this. And she stops responding by this time, right? So she's just like ignoring it. And it's just the audacity to go, hey, listen, try a photocopy passport. I don't know. Where in the world does that crap work? All right? Where? I want to know. And it's just amazing. So these kind of stories, this is like a nightmare for me. Yeah. And so it really bugs me, and this visa inequality, it affects people from certain countries and a lot, it's unequal treatment of people based on our nationalities when it comes to obtaining visas for travel, right? It affects people from countries with weaker passport power or who are deemed high risk by immigration authorities. And so it results in unequal opportunities for education, work, and your personal growth, right? Again, like a personal story, my brothers, I remember when they were trying to get to high school in the States, when their visa got rejected at that time, it was a frivolous reason. They were just like, hey, we don't think you two will come back. And it was disappointing because it was, my parents had shown enough money. My dad was well settled. And those kind of things just hold you back. It wasted a whole year of my siblings because they canceled they rejected the visa last minute after they had enrolled and everything. And they had to then they eventually got to Canada. And again, just some of the stories that are common in this part of the world, and they really, the effect is something we don't realize. Yeah, it's that, and the reason I think why we should do it, right? It's because, first of all, people should have the right to move and travel freely, because it's our right to explore the world. Maybe there's a dream you're chasing, and maybe you'll get to connect with people from different backgrounds, and I think that would make the world a better place. It would definitely promote cross-cultural understanding. And I also think people don't realize, I think it would lead to more economic and social growth, right? You traveling around, tourism would be a boost. When people mingle and move about, there's always more wealth building. So it's just it's terrible to do that. There's cultural benefits of freedom of movement. So like I don't want to sound like an economist or something, but tourism, trade, and diversity, like, how can you argue that stuff is not going to move up? It has to generate more revenue and more jobs. So I don't believe it, right? And cultural mixes, dude. If we didn't move around, how would I know about Mexican tacos, right? Like, I would not have been exposed to al-Baik from Saudi Arabia. So all these things matter, and that's why I want to move about. My wife and my kid are British, and so they get through very quickly to places, and I have to lag around, and a lot of our plans hinge on whether I can come up and plan things properly. And what bugs me again is we applied. I had to apply. We went to Karachi recently, and I took our nanny, who's from the Philippines. We took my wife and kid, who are British, and my brother's wife, who's German. So we had to apply for their visas, and it was last minute, a lot of stress. And I just found it funny that it's kind of like I think I spent more time and money on the visa application than on the actual trip, right? Like, it's just it happens. We went for a few days, but the stress of it was more before we traveled. You apply for a U.S. visa, and you have to go through like rounds of interview and maybe provide a DNA sample. I don't know, just to get a visitor visa to the U.S. It's like the process is like a rite of passage for some people. It's like, congrats, you've made it to the next level of bureaucracy. I've just heard people hiring immigration lawyers just to navigate the visa application process. It's so annoying. It's like hiring a Sherpa to climb Mount Everest. I just find all of it really crazy. That whole visa inequality thing. It's like a never-ending game of red light, green light. You never know when you're going to be stopped in your tracks, right? Like, all these things, they just build up lots of issues for me. And I think people kind of go, hey, we this is affecting lives and opportunities of people, and we can change it. But people, they wanna, they want to, they want to have these, so like, blocks there, because they believe that, oh, it'll affect security and jobs and stuff. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think overall it would be better for allowing people to just move about. Yeah. And you got to look at some sort of visa policies, reforming them. We live in this digital world. Everyone's passport is tracked. Don't tell me you can't see what is going on anymore. We live in not a police state, but a policed world now. So I think, more than ever, it should be easier for us to allow people to move about, because you've got trackers on everybody. I'd like to see more countries talking to each other and allowing people to move about. Yeah. That's what we should do. That thing should be like on the table for any meeting you do. At the very least, you got to look at reducing the application fees, man. Like streamlining the procedures. I know with the whole e-visa, it has sometimes, but it's still linked back to link back to what your situation is, right? If it's good in terms of, it's linked back to your association with the West, for example, or those countries that allow people to move. And here's an example. I said at the beginning, the UAE, the residency helps you move to a few more countries. Turkey, I didn't apply. I need to apply for a visa because I've got a U.S. visa stamped on my passport, which allows me visa on arrival, or the pre-e-visa book to go through it. And so my worth is accordingly based on the U.S. giving me a visa and stuff, right? And it bugs me, this kind of stuff. And so, more transparency around it. We got to promote equal treatment, all right? You just got to promote equal treatment. I spoke about, if you look up the Algeria episode a couple of months ago, I talked about it, about the visa process for Algeria as well. It was strange that they're so strict about people coming into their country, and they get people brainwashed into their people brainwashed into thinking that's the right way, and everybody's just closed off to each other. No wonder the world's in the state we are in right now, right? We gotta find ways to address it. Like, there'll be political resistance, all right? There'll be bureaucratic obstacles, and these solutions to implement, they're going to use a lot of resources. I don't know. There's got to be more activism around this from civil society, right? And I think more and more individuals should push for change. But who's going to? I can't, because I'm on the side of people who need this to happen, right? And the people who are on the other side, the well-off or the privileged, well, what incentive do they have to change this? A lot of them are not even conscious about. It's only when you travel, when these people start traveling with someone like me, they realize, oh my God, this is such a pain point. Yeah. Or when they date someone, or they're married to someone, and they go, oh wow, hey, that's a lot of trouble. And and there are loads of examples around Dubai, especially as well, with people, because you see them all the time. So what I'm trying to say is, reach out to me. I'm talking to the countries here, and allow me to travel to your places, because I'm a comic, and the worst thing I'll do is bomb on stage. All right, ha ha ha, a joke from the 90s. The worst thing I'll do is spread laughter and happiness, hopefully, or maybe that's the best thing I'll do. For those who haven't seen my comedy, who have seen it, might differ, but I need more freedom to travel freely. It means a lot to me, and I think, I hope in the future that we start moving towards that. Yeah. So that's my pitch. That's my rant about the whole situation. I do a lot of jokes about it too in my material. I know a lot of other brown comics do it because it's such a pain point for us. I just hope at some point we'll sort this out, and the world will be more free, I genuinely think it'll make it better for everybody. And there's no real harm, like I said, in this digital age and stuff. Anyway, speaking of which, I've been doing I've been a little off my game with the social media stuff. It's always tricky, sometimes just lazy, and I want to know what kind of stuff you like watching. I want you to leave a comment because not because I want anything to do with my algorithm. I really genuinely am interested in what makes you watch a video. I want to see how I can grow my stuff. And I'm trying to put up more standard material, so do check out my Instagram page for it. This is a total ad. I'm peddling my Instagram handle at SalmanZQ. And tell me what you think about this stand-up clips. I've been gigging more. I gigged the last 2 nights. It was really interesting because I just got up and I wanted to try 2 new bits, and they were both really fun to do, fun to write, partly based on real life and partly because I was proud of like writing it up properly before I got on stage. Sometimes I waffle too much, and those wins are good. It worked well somewhat in both nights. And one night a certain bit killed, and the other night other parts killed. So that's an insight on stand-up material. It's really cool because when you do it, people kind of laugh at different parts. People laugh at one part consistently. Go, I got to keep that. And there's a lot of honing of a joke before comics want to put it out there, into the world on videos and stuff. So yeah, that's a little secret. I'm looking forward to the year. I know I started off by saying, yeah, I'm going to strike off goals, but I think there's a lot left in 2023. I still have a great feeling about this year. I've been working with some great brands this year as well. The last one I did was Bulgari, and you learn every time when you interact with these guys about what you can pick up and implement, and it was cool. Luxury brands are really fun to work with in a way. It's such an interesting world. And I think I might do a podcast on that at some point as well. So there you go. My kid, we're starting speech therapy next week. He started speaking up, which is positive. He's a bit delayed on that side with the speech side, but he's a smart cookie. So I'm not too worried about him, biting my head off with all these questions and stuff very soon. That's what I'm looking forward to as a dad. If you are looking to catch me at a live show, like I said, follow my Instagram handle. I've been putting up stories there. And also, you know what? Like, just make sure you check out the events that I list and come down. And I'm very close to announcing some cities as well. So again, keep a lookout for that. I might be coming to your town soon, fingers crossed, over the next 3-4 months. And I'm really excited about it to see how it goes internationally. All right. You guys have a fun couple of weeks ahead. I will catch you on the next episode. Thanks for listening. Goodbye. Or as a dog would say, woof.